Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Prospect Profits Live show via the Fan Nation Network, powered by Sports Illustrated from the NFL Draft Bible. I am here with Lorenz Leinweber. As always, I am Alec Polito. Unfortunately, we are without Jack today. He is I don't even know where he is on vacation, but he's on vacation, and he well deserving because he's done a ton of work lately for the Draft Bible and the Prospect Encyclopedia. So kudos to
And the
Jack.
show.
And the show. But I'm just saying he's done a ton of work, so he needs a little break. We're excited to give it to him. So while he's gone, we're not going to touch on the pro side because that's Jack's department. So we're gonna talk some scouting for the next week, and we've been doing the team breakdowns, but we're thinking let's start breaking down the positions a little bit, get into what guys at the top positions or what top guys at the positions you need to be focused on. And where better to start, Lorenz, than the most important position in football, one of the hardest positions to play in all of sports, the quarterback position. We got some good ones this year. What are your thoughts overall on the quarterback class?
I mean, I think it's deep. Obviously, that's what everyone's saying. I think it's deep from what I've seen. I've seen a number of the top guys. Gonna present them here, obviously, in a couple minutes. What I think about them, what my thoughts are about them. I think there's a chance that there could be 5 or 6 maybe guys going into the first round, depending on who comes out, who comes back. There could be players that are rated fairly highly now could slip out for various reasons, whether that's on-field play, off-field issues, or things like that. And then I think on day 2 and day 3, there's going to be a crop of talented players that are going to have fans, the scouting community, where there are going to be teams that are going to be fans of these players. We'll get through 6 today. We'll give you a nice little overview about who we perceive to be towards the top of the class, or who people are talking about towards the top of the class, and give you guys our takes on it.
Yeah, and I feel like talking about this class, I've said this many a times, and I think that's kind of the consensus for this class is it is deep, but it's not top heavy like last year was. We don't have a Trevor Lawrence or a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields in this class. We've got a ton of guys who are that level down from them. But last year, once we hit that drop off after that first 4 or 5, depending on how you saw the class, there was really not many quarterbacks that you could even consider in that range. So this year, I think what we will see, and let's piss off Jack a little bit because he's not here, we'll see a lot of day 2 quarterbacks, a lot more maybe than we saw last year, which is Jack hates the idea of them, but we're gonna see a lot of them, I think. And let's get right into it here, Lorenz. Start us off. Who is one of the quarterbacks that you're really excited about going into next year?
Yeah, I'll start off with Carson Strong from Nevada, Reno, the quarterback there for the Wolfpack. I think he's been a 2-year starter. He's around 6'3 and a half, 207 pounds. That's his verified measurements. And starting off with Strong, the offense he operates in, he's run the air raid system. His offensive coordinator there is the son of the guy that invented the air raid offense. But Carson Strong, he's got, if you compare his 2019 tape to 2020 tape, they gave him a number of freedoms at the line to make checks, to set the protection. And you can really see him. He's even changing routes, changing concepts to one side. If the numbers don't match up, doesn't always do it. That's going to be a bit of a theme in his evaluation. But he's given some freedoms within that offense to sort of run it. He's a strong arm quarterback. I really like his mechanics. He's dropping back. He's dovetailing. He's setting up to throw. If he's starting off to his left. He's got great anticipation, in my opinion. If you watch him play, there are a number of throws where he is working towards the sideline, where he's throwing outs, comebacks. Where he's really got to anticipate what the defender's doing. Now, obviously, there won't be a lot of digs and routes over the middle that you'll see on his film, because it's just the offense he operates in. But you can absolutely see the anticipation releasing the football way before his receivers break. Hang on one second. Way before his receivers break into their routes. You can often see that dovetailing is if you drop back and you're setting up to throw to the left. you kind of do like a dovetail at the back of your drop. I don't know how I explain this. Like you're setting up like this, so you're going a little bit into that direction so that you're set up to throw. I don't know how I explain it well without seeing it. I'll try to post a video of it. But it just gets you ready to, if your first read is to the left, you're set up to throw. You're ready to throw to the left, and same going right. You can do the same thing. I think he's got really good touch. If you watch his deep ball, Carson Strong, he can put it up there. It's coming down. If it's accurate, which it isn't always, we'll get into that in a little bit. It's a thing of beauty. And then I think his understanding for leverage, it goes hand in hand with anticipation a little bit, I think is excellent. He throws receivers open more than any quarterback I've seen, I think, since Joe Burrow. Just with his ball placement, giving his guys a shot. Really impressive in that department. I think he goes through his reads decisively, doesn't get stuck on stuff that isn't getting open often. I think you can really see him progressing from side to side. Now, it is the air raid offense, so it's not a lot of NFL concepts that is asking him to be really aggressive, reading downfield. But he shows that understanding of offensive and defensive intent. I think he's got the field vision you want and you need at the position. Latent progressions, I think he is poised, but there's really an internal clock that you see showing up, and this offensive line is average at best. Let me say that. And there can be bad decisions, which it's really tough to find negative themes in his game that really repeat itself. So that can happen, and his deep ball we just talked about, it can come up short, which looks really bad, and it's just a turnover waiting to happen because he's throwing it so high, which is great in theory, but you can't come up short if you do that. But I really like Carson Strong. I think for me, he projects as a starting quarterback fairly early into his career. And his physical talent, football intelligence, I think is really apparent in that offense. I think he can adapt to an NFL offense fairly quickly throughout a rookie year, so that in my opinion, he's ready to start. And I just didn't see consistent flaws that were really bad flaws that you see with other quarterbacks. There's some things that just keep showing up. It's just inconsistencies here and there with Carson Strong that bothered me the most. And then I think, just as a general outlook, I think people are trying to penalize him a little bit for the scheme he plays in. But that's really a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. You just got to work with what a quarterback is given, and I think Carson Strong does a great job operating that air raid offense there for Nevada.
Yeah, and we actually got to talk with Ben Putman on the state of football, and he talked about Carson Strong's leadership and the love that they have for Carson Strong there in Nevada. I've watched a little bit of Carson Strong, and one thing I'll say is he throws a very catchable ball. Especially on that deep ball. It is a very catchable ball. So I really like what Carson Strong's got. I think you hit all the points on him anyways, so we'll move on. But I think that this is someone that you really have to keep your eye on next year, for not just to go in the first, but to go high in the first round. Could be one of the best quarterbacks in the class, and we'll see what he ends up going next year. But another strong year at Nevada could be a driving force to him in the top 10 for sure. But let's transition from Carson Strong to the guy who is probably the favorite right now to go number one next year, and that's Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma. Look, you guys have all seen, I'm sure you've seen the videos, the way he throws the ball, I saw one, I'm coming out of high school, I saw a bunch of them where it was just, it's shocking the way he can throw the ball, the arm talent he has. That's not going to be the concern for teams. There's not going to be a concern with his arm. He can make any throw in the books. The concern is going to be decision-making. The concern is going to be between the ears, and the concern is going to be off the field. That's all stuff that I think that he really progressed in last year after the Texas game where he gets benched. When he came back, I thought between the ears, he got significantly better to finish out that year. I was very impressed with what he was able to do to finish out. And then this year, Oklahoma might be, it's at least a top 3 talented team in college football. he's going to have an opportunity to really not only just take them far, but potentially take them to a college football championship, which I think will only show teams the competitive nature the kid has. And then, look, off the field, I don't know any information other than that there's concerns, and that's all I'll say. But I hope that he's able to figure that out, because it is can you hear that? The text thing? No? All right, cool.
No.
Cool. I got a text on my laptop. Never mind. I thought you were smiling because you hear it. No, that's good to know. But no, Spencer Rattler's got so much talent-wise that if he can figure it out, and in that Lincoln Riley system where we've seen quarterbacks ascend from where they weren't going to be top overall picks to top overall picks, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, both were late round picks at best, ascended to number one. Hey, Spencer Rattler's going into the year favorited to be number one. You just let him grow in the system a little bit. I think that he is someone who absolutely has all the talent in the world to be not only a starting quarterback in the league, but a star quarterback in the league. I don't know if he'll ever be an MVP, but certainly could be in that range at some point. I think he's got all the skills. I'm excited to see him this year. This is the year for him to really stamp of approval. He's going into it as the favorite, and I think that if you correct me if I'm wrong here, Lorenz, but I think if Spencer Rattler has a very, very good season, there is no one who should compete with him talent-wise to be number one.
I mean, from a physical talent perspective, he's the guy you're looking for in this draft class. With him, you're really looking what you said up here on the mental side of the game, eliminating bad decisions. Really running that offense and just not making as many mistakes as he did last year. And then the sky's the limit for this kid. Looking at the physical talent, how he throws the football, how he can run around, extend within the pocket, outside the pocket, everything you said. I think talent-wise, it's not an issue, but I also think landing spot's going to be huge for him. If he can.
But to be fair, that's more so with him. But that is honestly one of the bigger problems with young quarterbacks is a landing spot.
100%. I guess when you're saying that, what you are saying that there is a bit of a risk involved.
Right.
If the landing spot isn't great, it couldn't be. It couldn't work. There's a chance it couldn't work. But if it's good, sky's the limit, as I already said about Spencer Rattler. He's very talented.
Yeah. All right. That's I feel like we've gotten now two quarterbacks who honestly are in that conversation for number one. Let's go with the third, and another one of them that's definitely in that conversation. Sam Howell, who's been one of the most productive quarterbacks in college football the last couple of years. Now he's going to have a shot this year. He lost a ton of talent on that offense. There's some there still, but he lost one of the best excuse me. He lost one of the best backs in college football in Javonte Williams, one of the other best backs in college football in Michael Carter, both of which will be gracing our TVs on Sundays now. He lost some pretty talented receivers on the outside. Lorenz, talk to me. What does Sam Howell got to do this year? What do you like about him? What's talk Sam Howell?
So Sam Howell, he's a bit undersized, and if you want to describe what he looks like and what his mechanics are like and how he throws the ball, it's basically Baker Mayfield. Yeah. He's got the beard going on. I don't know. I think they wear a different number. That's the only thing. But they're the similarities.
Number. Baker wears 6. He wears 7.
Right. So he just had to one up him there, but it's very similar. So the comps, I think, are fair. He operates an RPO-heavy offense, many design shots a lot of times where he's going off a play action or just in a straight drop-back sense, looking to make a throw downfield to his guys last year like De'Ami Brown, who was a really good deep threat for that football team. I think he's the most accurate quarterback that I've evaluated for this draft. I mean, he's extremely accurate to all three levels of the field consistently. It's very impressive. I think if you chart him, I know Corey Kinnan does charting. I'm pretty sure Sam Howell came out best there, and you can see it on tape if you look at the number, if you look at the numbers, if you look at the data. Extremely accurate. And I think he's poised in the pocket. He can extend a little bit. He's got that lateral agility. He's got those movement skills to extend plays and make a little bit happen outside of structure. I think his arm strength and velocity are just average. He's not someone like we just talked about with Carson Strong and we just talked about with Spencer Rattler, who has that arm talent that you're really looking for to generate that upside. And he's someone who I think mentally, it's pre-snap, he's not really reacting to a lot of blitz looks. He doesn't really have an internal clock. There are things that really caused him to take sacks. I believe it was the Florida State game where he took a ton of sacks, which is really frustrating. So I think for Sam Howell, for him to be a starting quarterback and to be a quality starting quarterback in the NFL, he's kind of maxed out from an arm strength perspective, from an accuracy perspective, mechanics. That's not going to get that's just going to be what it is. But he's going to really, to become a very good quarterback, has to develop that pro quarterback mind that he's really seeing the game like a pro, and I don't think he is right now. That's in part that's in part fault of the offense, but it's in part fault of his. But I think if he can do that, he could be like, I don't want to throw around Drew Brees, but we always do. But that's sort of the blueprint I think that he has to follow. And Drew Brees, like I said, one of the smartest, most accurate quarterbacks in NFL history. Can he do that, man? It's a tough ask, but I think there's a path for Sam Howell to become an NFL starting quarterback, and that's why he's in the first round conversation right now. I have a preliminary second round grade on him, but you guys know how it is with me in grading. I don't really value put the positional value in there, so. Mac Jones just went 16 overall. I think Sam Howell's a better quarterback prospect than Mac Jones. So unless he does something shocking this year, I expect him to go first round. But he's, like you said, he's losing a couple pieces, so maybe this season doesn't go as expected, or he takes that next step and suddenly he's in the first pick conversation. I honestly don't think he's right now, but he could play himself into that. But it's all on the mental side of the game, eliminating bad decisions, going through reads faster, not taking as many sacks, things like that. So yeah, that's the overview on Sam Howell.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say with Sam Howell is I'm not particularly high on him in the sense of I don't think that he's a top 10 pick for me. He's someone who I have doubted a lot in college. He did definitely show some more to me last year. Like you said, the accuracy is off the charts. And I do think he's honestly preliminary grade, and he still has a year to get this grade up too. I have him higher than I have Baker Mayfield coming out. And that's the comparison, right? It's Baker Mayfield. So I think that he could be a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield is. Obviously, Baker Mayfield goes 1 overall. I don't think Baker should have went 1 overall in that draft. But if you go back, I mean, he's been pretty consistent. So other than his second year. But Sam Howell is in a situation now where you said it. It's got to be here where he takes over. He's not going to have the talent on that offense to really rely on. He had a superior, maybe the best run game in college football last year to rely on last year. And then he had some receivers who the speed they had, they were going to get open, right? So we'll see if he can, if Sam Howell has a great year this year, it's going to be on him, so that's his way to jump up. Because for me right now, I agree. For me right now, he is slightly below especially the two quarterbacks we just talked about. And I think he's going to be below another one that we're going to talk about too. If he has a great year, I can see him jumping up the board because it's going to be all on him this year. But that's all I got on Sam Howell. Let's get into the next one here. This is a little bit of we had a small school quarterback just like Carson Strong, a little bit of a different, type of quarterback than what we've talked about, but I don't think people really have the picture on Malik Willis yet. He had a great year last year. Malik Willis, 6'1", 215-ish, I think, somewhere around there. He's not a small quarterback by any means. I mean, 6'1's a little bit on the lower side, but definitely filled out his frame quarterback. And the arm strength is legit. He's a legit dual threat quarterback, can make it happen with his legs as well. And he's also, one thing I really love about his running game is that he's more of a finisher in the run game than you like in your quarterback, I guess, or need in your quarterback. Definitely runs through tackles, which you love. But forgetting about the run game, we're really talking about his arm. This is a quarterback show. He's got a legit arm. He can make any throw on the field. He has shown that he's got the arm strength to get it deep. He has the deep ball. He's got the abilities to get it short and in tight windows. Now, the concerns with Malik Willis come from his decision making, and I'd say he's inaccurate more than he should be. But to be fair, I think a lot of that comes from where he plays. I think that you have to, when you're as talented as him, you have to be the main guy, right? This is no disrespect to Liberty, but they're not going to compete with an Oklahoma or a UNC if Malik Willis isn't at the top of his game. And I think that is something you see why the decision-making might not be so great. It's something that I maybe I wrongfully equated to Sam Darnold when he came out. I was like, well, that team was not great around him, and that's why he had so many turnovers. I think Malik Willis is someone who another year there in Liberty, or at Liberty, he's going to be able to show people what he can do really with his arm. It's phenomenal. And I really am excited for what he can do. As for where he can go right now, I think we're looking at more so a late first quarterback. From what I've seen, I think he's a late first, early second. Now, that's without positional value. I do think that there is a chance he could move up to like that not early first. I think he's more of a mid to that 10s to like 17 range is really where he's trying to hit. I don't think that he's the number 1 overall pick next year. I don't think he's a top 5 pick next year. But I certainly think there's a lot to hang your hat on with Malik Willis, that if you have the offense that you can put around him and really use the dynamism that he can put into the game, Malik Willis is someone that teams will have their eye on going into this year.
Yeah, I think Malik Willis is someone who like we talked about with Spencer Rattler a bit, but even to more of an extreme, I think has all the physical traits with his running ability. That is something that no one else in this class has. We've seen it continuously get valued by NFL teams. Now we heard Kyle Shanahan talk about it a lot with Trey Lance and why that went into the decision, obviously selecting him. I mean, we did have 3 quarterbacks really at the top of last year's class that could run. I think for Malik Willis, it's all coming down to, can he make easy throws easy? Can he operate that offense as a passer, take what's there, not always try to do too much, not always try to make too many plays? Can he show that in college? And if he can't, I think a team drafting him, and I agree. I could see him very easily sneaking into the back end of round 1. I think I mocked him to the Saints the other day. I just think if Sean Payton sees Malik Willis and he works well in the interview process, that's going to be someone he's going to want on his team, just because of the running and throwing ability. If we were playing Madden, he'd be the first overall pick. But yeah, I think he's got to hone in on his decision making, eliminate bad decisions, like we talked with a couple other people, just make easy throws easy, and I think he's got a really good shot of being a first round pick in April. And if he is what he is right now, I'm looking more at a day 2 pick. But yeah, very talented, and he'll be exciting to watch wherever he goes. That's for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. Malik Willis is must watch TV, especially when he gets to play on Sundays. And yes, you're right. If we were playing Madden, there would not be another player other than Malik Willis in this class that I'm taking. But Lorenz, getting to another guy here, a little bit of an up and down kind of player last year, but definitely has some arm talent to really talk about. What are your thoughts on Matt Corral?
And just, oh yeah, I'm not Ryan in the chat. We already looked at Car. We already talked about Carson.
He was the first one we talked about.
You can watch the replay though. Matt Corral, he's someone in that Ole Miss offense. He's a little undersized as well. Let's talk about what he does well. He extends within and outside of the pocket. It's very impressive. He's a good athlete. He really has a knack to making rushers miss. which gets him out of a couple of bad situations there in that offense. And then he's very accurate underneath, in my opinion. I mean, he's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in this class. I know you can put Sam Howell up there. I think Matt Corral isn't in that tier, but he's maybe a tier and a half below that. Still a very accurate quarterback. He is rarely asked to drop back in that offense and really go through progression. So we don't see any drop back passing really from him. It's a lot of RPOs. It's a lot of him being asked, all right, we're going to run this double move to Elijah Moore. We're going to have a play action and pop it over the top to get it to Kenny Yeboah, stuff like that doesn't really ask him to do much mentally that you can translate to any side to any type of NFL offense. When he was asked to do a little bit of that, or when he did try to do a little bit against Arkansas, he threw 5 interceptions. So man, it's tough beyond after his first read, and I hate calling guys a one-read quarterback because for a lot of them it's not true. I think for Matt Corral it is. I was a little disappointed. Honestly, I don't see him as a first round or even a day 2 quarterback right now. I know there've been a couple of in some rankings and some mock drafts he's popping up there. I don't see it right now. I think he's a developmental quarterback. I don't know if he can be your QB2 going into a season if he was in the NFL right now. So I think you would have to roster him as your third guy, kind of like Jordan Love last year was. I think he's got that upside though. If he can become a drop back passer, which is a massive ask. I mean, it's not easily done. He's got that upside to be a playmaker with his ability to escape and then distribute the football underneath with that accuracy. I don't think he's ever going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback. I think he's got a long uphill climb to be a starting quarterback, but a lot of people talk about him, so we include him here. I do like his accuracy. I do like his ability to extend, but there's a lot to work on before Matt Corral is going to be a viable NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I've gotten to do a little bit on Matt Corral, and I originally the preliminary grade I gave him was a late 3rd kind of player, late day 2, potentially early day 3 guy. I think Matt Corral there's no question, and I think we spelled his name wrong. Apologies to Matt Corral. I think it's only 1 L. But
he got the other one after the Arkansas game.
All right, that's what we're going with. Cool. No, I think there's arm. He's got a legit arm. It's a fiery arm. He can get the ball deep. He can fit it in tight windows. Decision making, of course, is the first thing that comes to mind. And like you said, right now, when he pulls off that first read, I don't necessarily know if I can trust him at the next level. But that's something that you can at least work with the quarterback, get him in the film room. But we'll see. I think that he's going to get drafted for sure. Just the question is, what will he be at the next level? My concerns with him are usually with a backup quarterback, you want someone who's going to be fairly
reliable.
Right.
He is gonna be. I can already tell Matt Corral's gonna be the most, and it's gonna be a very contested quarterback class, and there are gonna be a lot of different opinions out there. And I think Matt Corral's gonna be one of the guys where there are gonna be people that say he's undraftable. There are gonna be people who are saying he's a first rounder.
Yeah.
I mean, the opinions on Matt Corral are gonna be wild.
Yeah.
As we inch closer to the season and see what he's going to be there, if he takes that next step, I don't know. We'll find out, but I'm excited for the ride with him.
Yeah, and we'll see what he can do in another year with Lane Kiffin's offense there. Hopefully he can make the progressions that he needs to. Let's remember here too, he did not enter last year as the starting quarterback, and it was a COVID season. He did not have a full off season. So I do think that there is plenty of room for improvement and plenty of opportunities for improvement for him. So we'll see what Matt Corral can do this year with a year under his belt and a year of a real offseason. But let's get into the next guy here. And our final guy we're going to talk about, a guy who entering last year was probably the favorite, maybe at least one or two to go number 1, had a little bit of a down year. Little notes on him, though. He played the entire season with a right shoulder injury that obviously affected his throwing motion. He was, to me, I think this is going to be one of my favorites to go quarterback 1 next year because I really like what he has. To be fair, I seem to always fall for the USC quarterbacks, but I think that Keaton Slovis to me has all the skills to be a NFL level quarterback and a good NFL level quarterback. I think that Slovis is someone who, look, with the arm last year was off, but when you go back to his freshman year tape, I think that he's got the accuracy, and he's got the, sure, he doesn't have like the deepest of deep balls, but I think he's got a nice deep ball that he can throw. I don't think that he's an A+ arm talent, but he's definitely an above average arm. I think that he can win with his mind. I think that he is a really smart quarterback, really accurate underneath. I think this is a quarterback who can really play to the strengths of an offense if you fit him in the right spots. And I think that he's not going to make too many mistakes for you. That's something that I think that he can do at the next level. I'm really excited to see him this year. That USC team is so talented. They've got so much talent, but he did lose Vera Tucker on that line, so we'll see if that affects him. But I think Keaton Slovis is one that you definitely have to keep your eye on. Talking through this list right now, I don't think he's my number one. Spencer Rattler's probably my number one. I'd say that Carson Strong is probably my number two, and then Slovis is probably my number three. Howell being four, and then Malik Willis, Matt Corral. But I do think that Slovis is only down right now because of last year. If he comes back and gives me anything to work on, I'll probably fall in love with the USC quarterback, as I've done way too many times in the past, and it usually comes back to bite me. But I'm excited to see what Slovis can do this year. Hopefully all healthy, and hopefully he can really show what he's got in the tank.
I mean, I was just going to say USC used to kind of be QBU until Oklahoma started churning out like three first-round picks in 4 years. First overall picks in 4 years.
Yeah.
Was it first overall?
It will be if Rattler goes one. I think it's 2018, 2019, and then 2022.
Did I skip anyone there? Oh, yeah, it was Jalen Hurts in between. It was a second-round pick. So, but still, incredible run for them. I think Slovis, he's someone who's very experienced already. He's going to go into his third season of starting. I think he's got the requisite ball placement, pocket management, and FBI football intelligence to be a starter in the NFL. I just think that the ceiling and the upside is a bit capped for him. He's unlikely to ever be a star quarterback. Let me say that, but I do think he can be a long-term starter, or it depends on his landing spot. Again, he could be a starter for a couple of years. I think at worst he's going to be a very viable backup for someone, a very good backup who is probably going to get a shot to start somewhere, even if he starts off his career as that type of reliable backup.
Yeah, and we'll see what they can do this year with him. I'm hoping that, look, they got a ton of talent receivers-wise. They did lose a couple, but Drake London's still there, and they've got that defense is really talented. With Drake Jackson's there, they've got a couple.
Yeah, they got running backs coming in. Keontae Ingram, I really like. He's a talented player coming over from the University of Texas. Still got Brew McCoy and Drake London, who Drake London on defense, and then the wide receiver, his name is escaping
Drake
me.
London's the wide receiver.
Drake Jackson's the defensive end. All right, getting it all messed up.
It's a little bit confusing, but no, we'll see what Slovis can do this year. But that's the top six for. No, I guess I shouldn't say top six, but the six we wanted to talk about. There's definitely some other quarterbacks that you have to keep an eye on. Lorenz, is there any other quarterback, just quickly, that you say, other than this six, is in conversation?
I think someone like Phil Dracovic is someone who has some fans. I'm trying to think. There are a number of names, but he was the one I thought about a little bit, maybe putting on this list. Is there anyone that you know? I mean, you could start listing names like Jaden Daniels. You could start going down the guys like Dylan
I've heard a lot about
Caleb
Ellaby.
Yeah, I like Caleb Ellaby. I think he's going to be a viable mid-round pick.
I honestly haven't watched him yet, but I've heard a lot about him, and so I'm excited to dive into that tape. But yeah, no, I think that you could go through the list. I think there's 10 this year that are at least in that like day 2 conversation. But I we'll see how many actually go. The good thing for a lot of these quarterbacks is teams that'll probably be decently competitive with really old quarterbacks are probably going to be looking for a quarterback late first, and some of these guys might find themselves jumping into the first because there's QB needy teams for sure. But hey, that's all we got for you today. Thanks for tuning in with us. We'll be back on Tuesday, I believe, for another positional breakdown. Haven't discussed which one we're doing yet, but we'll figure it out. So stick with us for that. Jack will be back in about a week, and then we'll really start hammering down those NFL breakdowns, which Jack does a tremendous amount of background work that we can't do, so we can't do it without him. So we'll get back to doing that. Miss you, Jack. Please go to the NFLDraftBible.com. Check out the crazy content that we've got going out. It's awesome. And follow us on Twitter, Pros Profits. We did not tweet for this show. That's on us because Jack usually does the tweeting. But
yeah, that's on the social media guy being on vacation.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, dude. Whoever the social media guy is, unbelievable. No respect for the game. But no, we'll get hopefully get back to that soon. But follow us on Twitter, and I believe it's the same thing on TikTok. We haven't posted anything in a while, but we'll start getting more active on the social medias and hopefully get you guys some more content. Lorenz, any final words?
Yeah, just wanted to say go to allaccessfootball.com. Obviously, go order the Prospect Encyclopedia. If you want even more knowledge than the great knowledge that Jack is able to bring to our pro shows. Also, go subscribe to get the scouting reports on the site. Lot of work goes into that. Excited to have the new scouting team. Going to hop on our first scouting call tomorrow. After I get back, I'm going to an ELF game too, so it's going to be a packed day for me tomorrow. Going to be a fun Sunday.
Let's go Barcelona.
Actual proper football Sunday. Unfortunately, that Barcelona is not playing, but they are just not where I'm going. So it's going to be a packed football Sunday for me tomorrow. Really looking forward to that, and then we'll be back for you guys on Tuesday with another position that Alec and I still have to decide in our production meeting who we're presenting. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.